Good morning. Welcome to another One Mind meditation. And welcome to Sunday morning. On a Sunday morning, our meditation is always a little bit more quiet. I will talk a lot less. And we can sit in this silent space together. Good morning, Danae. Good morning, Stefan. Happy Sunday morning to you. This week our teacher has been Alan Cohen, and being a Sunday silent meditation, I tried to find quotes where he speaks about silence or meditation, and I couldn't find much. So for today's message, I'm just including a few thoughts that sit really well with me. I hope that you enjoy them too. Anne-Marie, good morning. Stephen, good morning. Happy Sunday morning to all of you. The first thought from Alan Cohen says, if you are not living with a whole heart now, the end of the world poses no threat to you. Your life is already gone. Life is only as valuable as our present to enjoy it. To miss the beauty of the moment because you are preparing to protect yourself from the next moment is to trade a precious gem for a cheap trinket. Antoinette, good morning. Happy Sunday morning to you. The next thought from Alan Cohen says, the world you see is less of an indication about the world and more of an indication about your seeing. I'll read this one again because it might take a moment to bring all of these words together. The world you see is less of an indication about the world and more of an indication about your seeing. There's another old thought which sounds very similar that I'd like to add, and that is, we don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. There's many teachings that try to tell us the same thing. That what we see has got much less to do with the reality of the world and a lot more with how we see. It just serves for me as a reminder to always question what I see and how I see and ask myself, is there another way to see this? And more importantly, is there a way to see this that is more empowering? Because very often, speaking for myself, the way I see things could be disempowering, especially the bigger things in the world, the state the world is in, wars, things that are completely out of my control. Is there a way that I could see it that's more empowering? This one I really love too. He says, guilt is punishing yourself before God doesn't. And I have to point out the obvious. It's set up in a way that our brain wants to read, guilt is punishing yourself before God does. I get in there and punish myself first, but that's of course not what he's saying. He says guilt is punishing yourself before God doesn't. Because the truth is, as much as we might have been taught the obvious, God's job is not to punish us. I certainly never feel like God is ever trying to punish me. I have certainly lived through the consequences of my own actions, for sure. But it's never felt like a punishment from God. One last thought, and this is the one that does speak about meditation just a little bit. Just a hello to Sarah. Good morning, Sarah. Happy Sunday morning. It's so awesome to see you here. Last thought from Alan Cohen. If you want to find God, start hanging out in the space between your thoughts. That resonates so deeply. If you want to find God, start hanging out in the space between your thoughts. When you clearly see and understand that none of the thinking is you, that thought is something a brain does on autopilot, just like perspiration is something that a sweat gland produces just on its own, then it becomes easier to take a step back and simply watch thoughts come and go. When you are the observer of your thoughts, then you'll start noticing the spaces in between thoughts, and you'll come to understand where your soul lives, in the spaces in between. I'll share with you this thought from Alan Cohen one more time. If you want to find God, start hanging out in the space between your thoughts. Let's see if we can find that space together today. You can close your eyes, and we'll start with the first few big breaths. Let's take a deep breath in and out. Deep breath in and out. A deep inhale and let it go. Deep breath in and out. One more big breath in and let it all flow away. You can continue the same breathing pattern on your own time. Every slow inhale through your nose gets drawn all the way deep down into your belly. And as you fill up your belly with air, also raise yourself up. As you breathe in, stretch out your spine, lift the top of your head toward the ceiling. And once you've reached your full height, let all of it go. With every exhale, soften. With every breath out, soften your spine, slump down your shoulders and drop your head. Continue your own full body breathing, rising with every inhale and slowly falling with every exhale. The reminder to you is that your job is not to try and create an empty mind. Your job is not to try and stop thoughts from happening. That's just not how this works. Alan Cohen's message this morning says, the space between thoughts. That's where God hangs out. the more we practice observing our thoughts without interfering too much, the easier it becomes to take a step back and just notice how thoughts come and go on their own. No interference from us is needed. We simply have to notice when we jump on the back of a thought and start riding it. And then remind ourselves that we can get off, we can let it go, come back and observe. The more we practice this, the more the space between thoughts become visible to us, an experience that we can slip into. As we continue practicing, the space between thoughts grows bigger. Since I was very young, I've had the understanding that if we all sit together, we all individually experience our own thoughts popping up, coming and going, and we wouldn't even know about each other's thoughts. But in the moments where we slip into the spaces between thoughts, then we're slipping into the same space together. Right now, when each of us experiences that space between thoughts, then in this moment, we find ourselves in the exact same place. And to me, it is clear that that place is the presence of God. You can continue your own full body breathing, and I'll check in with you at the end of this phase. use the last few breaths of this phase to help your body stretch and adjust and settle down into as much comfort as possible for the rest of our journey. Take a moment to roll out your neck muscles, roll out your shoulder muscles, stretch out your back muscles. Having softened our bodies into a space of presence, we can now turn our attention inwards and dive deep inside for the next part of our journey. With every next inhale, we'll hold our breath for a few short moments, followed by a really long, really slow exhale. Let's take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, make it a really long, really slow exhale. Take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, feel into your body. Feel how softness slips in and settles in every part of your body. Take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, follow the downwards flow through your body. Feel your shoulders slowly falling. Feel your body slowly softening. Feel how you are slowly slipping deeper into you. One more big breath in and hold. As you release, feel yourself melting. Feel your whole body dissolving. Feel how you are slipping into a deeper level of surrender with every slow exhale. You can continue the same breathing pattern on your own time. Every slow inhale through your nose is an invitation. It invites you to turn inwards and follow this journey. As you breathe in, feel the air flow in through your nostrils. Feel the air touch the back of your throat. Stay with your breath as it flows in through your lungs. And as you fill up the balloon inside your belly, feel yourself slip all the way in. Hold your breath. But hold it only for as long as it feels easy, followed by a really long, really slow exhale. With your next big breath, as you dive deep into you, I want to remind you of the silent exercise we're doing today. Can you allow thoughts to come and go? Can you take a step back and just not interfere with them at all? But notice when you're jumping on the back of a thought and riding it. And then remind yourself you could just step off, let it go. And as you experience thoughts coming and going, can you then experience the spaces between thoughts? And can you feel that the thought you have, just like the rest of us sitting here, that's an individual thought. But when you slip into the space between thoughts, that's collective. That's the space we all slip in together. And when you find those spaces, can you feel the rest of us there too? In the presence of the divine together. I'll check in with you at the end of this phase. Take your next big breath. We'll take the last few breaths of this phase together, slipping out of the breath holding space and into the next. Let's take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, make it a really long, really slow exhale. Take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, feel how softness slips into your body and settles in every cell of your body. One more big breath in and hold. And as you release, feel yourself slip all the way through. There is no more attention on your breathing. You can sit all the way back, or even lie all the way back down and feel yourself just floating. I'll read to you again a few thoughts from Alan Cohen. He says, to miss the beauty of the moment because you are preparing to protect yourself from the next moment is to trade a precious gem for a cheap trinket. Life is only as valuable as our presence to enjoy it. Alan Cohen says, the world you see is less of an indication about the world and more of an indication about your seeing. He says, guilt is punishing yourself before God doesn't. And then the thought that speaks to our meditation today, if you want to find God, start hanging out in the space between your thoughts. The space between my thoughts, the space between your thoughts. I experience that space as being one and the same. When we find that space, we're hanging out in the same spot. In the presence of the divine. I'll check in with you at the end of this phase. We have the last 5 breaths of gratitude to do together. With every exhale, I'll say my thank you, and I invite you to say yours. Let's take a deep breath in. Thank you for sharing a little bit of your silence with us. Take a deep breath in. Thank you for learning how to take a step back and become the observer and see how thoughts come and go. They're just the natural product of a brain, just like sweat is the natural product of sweat glands. A brain will produce thinking in a continuous stream. Take a deep breath in. Thank you for learning to notice the space between the thinking, or even the space between the thinking and me. Take a deep breath in. Thank you for experiencing the presence of God in that space. One more big breath in. Thank you, beautiful people. Thank you for being a part of our journey today. Good morning, Anita. I'm happy you were able to pop in with us quickly. Hope you had time to sit down with us for a little while too. Thank you, Danae. Wishing you a beautiful Sunday. Thank you, Anne-Marie. Have an awesome Sunday too. Antoinette, enjoy your Sunday. And Stefan, I hope you have a lovely Sunday too. Lots of love to you all. See you here soon. Ciao, ciao.